A year ago, if you asked me about my future, I would have had a very different perspective than I have today. A year ago, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. I had a secret that I didn't want to share. And I didn't really tell anyone about what I was going through. Now I talk to people from all over the world about my condition. I have epilepsy, a neurological disorder that causes a person to have seizures. More than 50 million people worldwide have epilepsy. But this talk isn't about epilepsy. It's about accepting yourself as a person and finding your own voice. Epilepsy is just one of many invisible disabilities. This term means that if you looked at me, you wouldn't assume I was different than anyone else. Another label for this is hidden disabilities. I think this is more accurate because people feel as though they need to hide them. You might ask, why would someone hide a condition that they can't help? Let me tell you about Jonathan Lingo. Jonathan was a 19-year-old college student from Edmonton, Alberta. He was passionate about theatre, and he also had epilepsy. Speaking about his acting, his mom said to see him on stage was where he came to life. He didn't have to be someone who was being shunned or treated differently. Unfortunately, in his day-to-day life, Jonathan was treated differently. He was bullied because of his epilepsy. On February 5th of this year, Jonathan stepped in front of an LRT train in Edmonton, ending his own life. So how do we move past what happened to Jonathan? I think the key to moving forward is speaking out about your secrets, rather than hiding them. But doing that is easier said than done. I had my first seizure when I was 2 years old. When I was in elementary school, most of my peers and teachers knew that I had epilepsy because I had the occasional seizure at school. But when I moved into middle school and to a new town, I didn't really talk about my epilepsy to anyone. So was I trying to hide my disorder? No, but I sure didn't advertise the fact that I had epilepsy. So how did this change for me? I've been thinking about starting to talk to people for a couple months. But last summer when I was admitted to BC Children's Hospital for some tests, I saw a lot of other kids who had epilepsy too, and they had it a lot worse off than I. They were having multiple seizures a day and they were scared, so I knew that I had to start talking about this. I started with blogging and making videos like these ones about my experience with epilepsy. Soon my online friends grew to numbers in the thousands. It was exciting, but I knew eventually I would have to go home and face my peers. Let me tell you, it's a lot easier talking about something so personal behind a screen and a keyboard, but when you're looking into the eyes of people who you admire and you're friends with, it's a lot tougher. But I'm glad I started talking about my epilepsy. Not only have I made friends from all over the world, but I've been stunned by the support from my peers at home too. Does this mean that it's easy to talk about my condition? Not really. Whenever I meet someone for the first time, there's always that awkward moment where I have to tell them that I have epilepsy. There's that little fear that I'll be discriminated against. But all of us have fears and doubts. Is it more for someone with epilepsy? Probably not. Not really. Being true to yourself is hard for all of us. But I have a chance to make a difference, not only in my life, but in the lives of others all over the world who have invisible weaknesses that they're scared to reveal. In the words of Christopher Reeve, a hero is someone who, in spite of weakness, doubt, or not always knowing the answer, goes ahead and overcomes it anyways. Everyone has a weakness they're scared to share with the world for fear of being judged. But the first step to overcoming that boundary of trust is to start sharing your secret. The first step is really hard, but maybe it will inspire someone else to also take that first step. And if I can do that with just one person, then my future seems a lot brighter and more worthwhile. And yours will too.